let's talk about Nigeria's exciting potential in the lithium sector. Now, lithium is a critical component in rechargeable batteries. It powers electric vehicles and it also fosters a greener future. As you know, Nigeria is richly blessed and richly endowed with lithium deposits across various states. So by strategically developing these resources, Nigeria can position itself as a major player in the global lithium market. Now, the key to this lies in a multi-pronged approach. First, exploration and extraction must be conducted responsibly, adhering to environmental and social sustainability standards. Secondly, investing in lithium processing facilities is crucial. One important point of this is that it will create more jobs in our economy, and this will also add value to the raw materials that create a domestic lithium industry. Furthermore, Nigeria can explore establishing a lithium-ion battery manufacturing plant, and which will also, like I mentioned earlier on, more jobs for our graduates that keep coming out of our universities that need these jobs urgently. So this aligns perfectly with the global surge in electric vehicle demands, creating a strong export market and attracting foreign investment. So if we develop a lithium-based energy sector, this will present a golden opportunity for Nigeria. By embracing innovation, responsible practices, and strategic partnerships, Nigeria can transform its lithium resources into a sustainable energy growth. So to discuss the benefits of lithium with me this morning on Market Insight, I have a guest joining us virtually, and his name is Olabode Sowunmi. He's an energy sector expert, and he's also a former legislative aide to the Senate President. Welcome to Market Insight, Olabode Sowunmi.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, and I'm glad to have you here this morning. I hope you're enjoying your day so far.
Yes, thank you. And I hope
now I spoke earlier on about lithium and its benefits to our society, to our economy also. So now how can we tap into this potential of developing our lithium resources and making it a cleaner energy for our country, Nigeria? A cleaner source of energy for our country, Nigeria?
Okay, so lithium itself is not an energy producing element, but it's a part of the value chain when we are talking about making of batteries. But it's not just lithium. You have cobalt, you have nickel, and you have a couple of other things along the line. But lithium has been desired as one of the stronger elements that makes the newer brand of batteries which can store significant power. And batteries become important when you need to store energy from your solar cells, from your wind power, and all that. So in other words, without lithium batteries, renewable energy as we know it will not be possible. So basically, what we are doing is producing or processing raw materials, which will serve as part of the components for the renewable energy space. It's like basically saying when you make microchips, even though microchips themselves do not make up the TV or they do not make up the phone or the computer, but they are significant aspects of the computer. So you can look at what processed lithium will be to the energy industry to be the same thing as what microchips will be to phone sets, to computers, and to your TV sets. So that's a good way to look at it.
Last week, President Tinubu spoke with the Prime Minister of Netherlands, assuring him of our high-grade lithium resources in the country and the potential of lithium as, like you said, how it can be used as a source of energy for batteries, for different resources. So now how can we attract the right kind of foreign investment into our country to help develop this lithium potential?
So, investors are precisely that. They're investors. They think alike. They work alike across board. And all of us, one way or the other, are also investors. Every one of us at some point in our life has had to have a relation or a junior one who wanted to do maybe petty trading, or he wanted to do jam scores, which he can sell, or whatever. And the person asked you to put in some money. So the first thing you want to be sure of is if the person you are putting the money in is going to make his money back, because I mean, there's no wisdom putting your money into somebody who you know is not going to make profit, except you are actually trying to allow the person to have fun or something. So investors primarily want to be sure that they will make their money back with profit. They want to be sure they will be able to repatriate their money back. So there are fundamentals to that. And then the next comes into the things like rule of law. In other words, if they have a conflict, if they have a disagreement with people on the ground, are they sure that justice will be served? Are they sure that politics will not affect them when this government leaves? Are they sure that the next government is not going to do a U-turn? So those are the kind of things investors look at. Investors don't care whether it's Nigeria, whether it's China, or whether it's the moon, as long as they can get their money back and other fundamentals come in. Where they need to adjust to accommodate locals, they will, but the fundamentals need to be put in place. Fundamentals include things like rule of law. Fundamentals include things like open and transparent foreign exchange policies. The fundamentals also include the fact that the business proposal itself, the business itself, is offering profit. So once you do that, we will start to see investors, no matter what people say, who will risk it. I mean, the people complain about oil and gas, they complain about Nigeria, but you see that the oil nationals, I mean, within reason, they always invest. So it's basically left to us to put the fundamentals in place, and the investors will come in.
Yeah, put the fundamentals in place. As you make it sound very easy, but is it really as simple as this? Because we know we have there might be some certain factors, some certain challenges that might hinder this from moving smoothly. So, okay, let's just discuss this for a short time now, the certain factors that might hinder this smooth flow of making this possible, making this transaction possible, because we know we've seen in the past how we've tried to access some kind of natural resources we have in our country, and then maybe there might be some factors making this process not too smooth, not to flow not too easily. So what are the biggest challenges that Nigeria could face to develop its lithium reserves? Yeah, you.
Okay, I mean, the first is security. I mean, some of the places where you have lithium include Zamfara, include Sokoto, include that region, and you don't need anybody to tell you about banditry and all that, the things that bedevil those areas. So first and fundamentally, there has to be security. The second thing is that there has to be infrastructure. So there has to be road, there has to be maybe even an airfield or an airport there where people can cargo whatever it is in terms of finished product. For it to be meaningful to Nigeria, that means we have to have a processing plant. The processing plant will process the lithium and make the thing more valuable. So it's the difference between selling iron ore and selling needles. I mean, you make about 8,000 or 100,000 the price you get from selling needles that you get from selling iron ore. So we need to have a processing plant. The processing plant will mean that they will employ people at all levels, low-level people, mid-level, senior level. That means they will build estates. Maybe they will even build golf courses. They will build schools. So a lot of things will come into place. So infrastructure, security, rule of law, those are the things that need to be in place. It's not, sometimes we expect magic answers and magic solutions. But the reality is that normal life requires you doing the basic things and doing it consistently over time. That's what brings normalcy. I mean, if you check all the people we call developed nations, it's not like they have certain magic formulas. They just do the normal things, the basic things that are right. They do service to humanity. They serve people. They don't think when they're serving people, they are doing a favor. They ensure that there's a win-win. They don't cheat the system. All those basic things. Those are the things that make for success.
Things are what will make tapping into this potential a big gold mine for Nigeria. We'll ensure that we have energy sources, we have options for our energy sources, not just what we currently have, which is one-way system in terms of what we use for electricity, what we use to power our vehicles. It's the potential of lithium, using those lithium-powered batteries is really, really wide. I'm sure you would agree with me on this.
Yeah, the potential for lithium is as wide as the potential for crude oil. But the potential in terms of its use is more into the foreign exchange earnings for Nigeria, the job creation that it will do. It's not so much as we needing it that much. Yes, there's a place for energy diversity, but people should not forget we are an oil nation, we're a gas nation, we're a nation with wind, particularly in certain areas. We're a nation that also has access to solar. So our energy mix is not poor at all. So lithium itself, like I said, is not an energy source. It is not solar, it is not wind, it is not petrol, it is not diesel. It is a component that adds to the making of a battery. A battery in itself is not an energy an energy source. It is an energy storage option. And the energy storage options actually become useful and usable when you're talking about renewable energy. They do not come into play when you're talking about fossil fuels. So the biggest users of fossil fuel, for renewable energy, you're talking about China, you're talking about US, you're talking about the European Union, you're talking about China, India, you're talking about Russia. If we supply just 1/10 of all these people, we probably will have the same kind of earnings we are having from crude oil from this. And that is why the processing of lithium is important. So let's put it in perspective. This is not really, even though it can help, it is not really about additional sources of energy. It is about income, forex earnings, and job creation for Nigeria. And of course, us being able to put our footprint on the line in terms of our contribution to renewable energy and climate sustainability.
You know, the solar panels we're currently using right now in the country, they also have these batteries, these inverter batteries also, that can be used in whenever there is no, perhaps the PHCN light, when it's not available, you could use these batteries to power your appliances in your house. And a key ingredient of these batteries is also lithium. So it's quite a good thing. It would be a good thing for us to actually tap into this and ensure that it's more affordable for people to use, because as you know, most people can't really afford these inverter batteries because they're quite expensive. But if we have these lithium manufacturing plants in different parts of the country, I'm quite sure that it will be more affordable and it will be more available in more homes. Don't you think about this too?
Over time, yes. But so, like I said, lithium is useful in the value chain, which is what you have described. So you have the solar panel, which is the photovoltaic cell. So a photovoltaic cell is the component of the solar panel which converts light into electricity. So that's what the solar panel is. When it is converted into electricity, it comes in as direct current, which is DC. That direct current passes through an inverter, which converts it to an alternating current, which is what can be used in the home. The direct current is what you have in things like your battery that you use for your torchlight, the battery that you use for your car. So when it is converted into alternating current, then it is now used for your fridge, for your freezer, for your TV, and the components of the house. However, when the light, that light is also being stored in the battery. That's the excess that is not being used at the when the light is being produced, is being stored as a battery. So when the battery is full, it cuts off. And when the light source from the solar panel shuts down, that's like in the night, the light from the battery can now go back into the alternating current, into the inverter, which converts it back into alternating current for use in the home. So the battery is just a component of the solar system source. So it's more than the panel. What this lithium will do is to ensure that a component of the making of the battery is available and produced by Nigerians. Now, the way that can become that can become cheaper to Nigerians is if the panelists, the people who are making the batteries, are selling it cheaper or are able to produce it cheaper. You see, it's a different value chain. The fact that you are making money from the batteries does not necessarily mean the battery will be cheaper. It can mean that you will make more money by selling the panels. But until those who are selling the batteries decide to sell it cheaper, it remains the same price. However, if in addition to making the lithium, the processed lithium element, we also choose to make lithium battery plants in Nigeria, then there is a greater guarantee that the lithium batteries can be cheaper. Please try and understand, because it's a value chain. Yes, we are producing components of the value chain. It's like basically like the person who is selling the microchip or who is making the microchip wanting to make the sale of the phone or the sale of the computer cheaper. That's not necessarily within his place. What he can get is money from a more expensive computer, but not necessarily to determine the price of the computer. Apple will still determine the price of their phone, and it will be the same price globally. HP will determine the price of their computer. It will be the same globally. But those who supply components will also make money from the prices that goes in globally. So for us, we are going to get into the value chain to start to earn money rather than just being part of those that are supplying money to the value chain alone. Where the thing starts to become cheaper for us is when we start to make solar panels, where we start to make batteries. So until then, it's just more about income than and not necessarily about reduction in prices, even though it can lead to reduction in prices.
Hey, I'm very glad that you added, even though it can lead to reduction in prices. So there's a possibility this could happen in the future. Okay, let's talk about the rise of electric vehicles. And so how can Nigeria position itself in the rise of electric vehicles in the global lithium battery markets?
Well, I don't know whether that should be a priority for Nigeria, primarily because even the nations that are leading in it are struggling. Apart from the tax subventions and grants that goes to those companies, none of those companies are really profitable. In other words, they are not profitable from the sale of those vehicles themselves. That's even the leading nations. Those are things to be fact-checked. We are still having a comparative advantage with gas. We are still having comparative advantage with diesel and with petrol. And as a nation, we have adopted a policy that gas is our energy transition fuel. In simple terms, we are joining the energy transition field, which is where electric cars and everything comes in, but we are going to join it via gas, which is when you talk about, that's when you talk about just transition, whereas those who have spent the last century polluting the world should not expect us who have done little or nothing to that to be having the same consequences as they. There must be justice in terms of how this is done. So electric vehicles are nice to have. They are sexy. They are important going forward, but we need something that is practical. We need practical things, and those practical things is where we should focus on. When we are stable in terms of what is practical, then we can move to the fancy things. So in my view, there should be options for electric vehicle, but that must not that we currently have. So we currently spend significant amounts getting vehicles that run in diesel, that run on petrol, and many people cannot even afford on how that can be adaptable to Nigerians, and then we'll leave the fancy options for those who are already satisfied and happy. But that must not be the means of transportation that the nation is going to rely on as a spine or as a bedrock.
Okay, now, so what are these practical things, if I may ask? Because you said there are more practical things that we need to focus. I just want to hear your thoughts on this. What are the practical things?
I mean, the practical things to focus on really, the practical things to focus on really are the issues which we face on a day-to-day basis, which is that when you have a man who is transporting coconut from from Niger Delta to Abuja. It doesn't matter to him whether the car is, the truck, the lorry is running on batteries or is running on diesel or it's a 1950 truck. He just wants his goods getting to Abuja and he doesn't want them more expensive and nobody wants them more expensive. What we have had and what we do have is a situation where with electric vehicles, the cost is going to jump up by even a factor of 1,000%. Let us know, because there are certain practical things that are limited to that. So for us, we cannot put our infrastructure, the economy, those things on things that are more expensive and more exoteric simply because we want to answer the name of being energy friendly. So those are the practical things I'm talking about.
Yes, you have a point there. Yes. Okay, now let's talk about the local communities where resources are mined in Nigeria. As we know, we're blessed with a lot of natural resources in this country now. So how can Nigeria ensure that the wealth generated from these local communities, for example, communities that have lithium, how can we ensure that the lithium mining benefits these local communities and reduces regional inequality?
Well, first of all, the people in the local communities cannot eat lithium. They cannot use the batteries like that, but they can benefit from the income that comes from it. So it's and then also it's a commonwealth. So the idea about a special allocation to communities resulted from the fact that certain communities were abandoned and not taken care of in the first place. So I would expect that government will not abandon these communities like we had in the case of crude oil, but the communities will be developed. They will build schools there. They will build hospitals. They will build road infrastructure. They will build recreational facilities. And those places will develop and in tandem with the rest of Nigeria and in tandem with the rest of the world. If that does happen, I don't think there will be a case for a special consideration for local communities. So we should understand that we start looking for a case for local communities when there's a dysfunction in how government operates. And we pray that we will not get to that stage where there will be dysfunction in how government operates for them.
Us this morning on Market Insights, Olabode Sowunmi. It's been a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you for explaining the benefits of lithium-powered batteries in our economy, and also, as like you said, you have clarified the difference, how it can be used as a source of energy, and what's the fact that it's a component for energy. So thank you for joining us this morning on the program, and we look forward to having you again on Market Insights.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Okay, so let's look at our the selling rates for our different foreign currencies as against the naira, the dollars, pound sterling, and the euro. How are they faring today, the start of a new week? So for today, Monday, 29th April, at the CBN rates and the parallel market rates. So the CBN rates and the parallel market rates. So for today, 29th April, the dollar is currently selling at 1,121 naira to $1, and in the parallel market, it's 1,400 naira to $1. And the pound sterling at the CBN rate is 1,418 naira to £1 sterling, and the parallel market is 1,650 naira to £1 sterling. For the euro, it is 1,218 naira to €1, and in the parallel market is 1,450 naira to €1. So those are our money market figures this morning with the dollars, pound sterling, and the euro. And this is the selling rate for these foreign currencies this morning. Okay, so that's our time today on Market Insights as we discuss these issues affecting our economy. We looked at how the stock markets will fare throughout the week, this new week that we're entering from today, 29th of April till Friday, how the stock markets will trade, and we hope it will turn out favorable it will close on a positive note. And also our guest Olabode Sowunmi also analyzed lithium, how it will benefit our economy, and he was very specific that it's also garner a lot of foreign exchange for our economy. So thank you so much for watching Market Insight this morning, and I look forward to tomorrow's episode as we discuss more issues affecting our economy. I'm your host, Lovina Emma. Do stay tuned to news updates on Souk News Television.